ongoing UFC roster clear-out continues, and another fighter has now been officially removed, a move that many fans seem to agree with. Reports confirm that Aaron Tao has been cut from the UFC following his controversial actions at UFC 325. Tao was the fighter who attempted to cheat the weigh-ins, drawing heavy criticism from fans, fighters, and media alike. During the official weigh-in, Tao was caught using the for leverage while also lifting his heels off the scale in an effort to reduce his recorded weight. Despite those attempts, he still reportedly missed weight by 4 pounds. Because of the failed weigh-in and the controversy surrounding it, the bout was ultimately canceled, turning the situation into one of the most talked about moments of the event week. Prior to UFC 325, Tao released a public apology, acknowledging the backlash and addressing the incident. During the UFC 325 broadcast, commentator John Gooden mentioned that the fight between Tao and Namzrai Batbayar was expected to be rescheduled for a later date. At the time, that announcement sparked strong backlash, with many fans accusing the UFC of being too lenient by offering another opportunity after such a blatant attempt to manipulate the scales. Since then, it appears the promotion reconsidered its stance. The UFC has now decided to part ways with Tao entirely. He is no longer scheduled to compete in the road to UFC finals, and the promotion has already secured a replacement in his place. This decision sends a clear message about the importance of professionalism and integrity during weigh-ins, reinforcing that cheating the scale is not something the UFC is willing to overlook. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Next big update is here. The situation surrounding Shavkat Rakhmonov continues to get worse, and now one of the most experienced voices in the sport is weighing in. Recently, we have been covering everything going on with Shavkat, starting with his first knee surgery in 2025, which forced him to sit out the entire year. At the time, the expectation was that he would return in early 2026. However, new reports confirmed that after undergoing a second knee surgery, Shavkat is now expected to miss another 9 to 10 months. At this point, even if his recovery goes perfectly, the earliest possible return would likely be late 2026. Following the news of that second surgery, Kamaru Usman shared his thoughts and urged Shavkat to seriously consider making a change if he wants to continue his MMA career. Usman, who has dealt with multiple knee issues himself, spoke with clear concern and empathy. Usman explained that some injuries are simply out of a fighter's control, and he expressed how bad he feels for Shavkat. He said all a fighter wants is to be healthy, compete, and provide for their family. But unfortunately, repeated injuries can take that away. According to Usman, if Shavkat truly wants to keep fighting, it might be time to find a new camp and focus on better protecting his body. He stressed the importance of taking care of the body until the end of a career, especially if championship aspirations are still there. Usman pointed out that this appears to be the second or even third surgery related to the same knee, which is a serious red flag. While discussing Shavkat's setback, Jorge Masvidal also reacted to the news and shared his thoughts on the welterweight title picture. Masvidal called the injury situation a travesty and said it hurts to see one of the top contenders sidelined again. He noted that Shavkat is one of his favorite fighters to watch at 170 pounds, praising his aggressive, well-rounded style. With Shavkat officially out, Masvidal believes the door is now open for other contenders. He mentioned Kamaru Usman as a clear option to challenge for the title, while also bringing up Michael Morales as a strong candidate. Masvidal added that he would slightly favor Morales over Carlos Prates, though he would not mind seeing Prates get a title shot either. He finished by saying that any fight involving Islam Makhachev is must-watch, regardless of the opponent, and that the division remains exciting despite Shavkat's unfortunate setback. Next big update is here. Justin Gaethje has reacted to Ilya making his comeback, and the situation around this fight is starting to look very real. After UFC 324, there was a lot of uncertainty about when Ilya would be back. At the time, everything felt unclear, and there was no solid timeline. But now, things appear to be locking into place, and this matchup could actually happen sooner than many expected. Yesterday, we covered the major development that Ilya's legal case involving his ex-wife, Georgina Ustkatagi, was officially dismissed after both sides reached an agreement. That decision cleared a massive roadblock, and almost immediately after our video went live, reporter Alvaro Colmenero shared a huge update. According to what he was told, a fight between Ilya and Justin Gaethje is around a 90% likelihood for the UFC White House card. Not long after that report surfaced, Gaethje appeared on the Pat McAfee show and spoke openly about his plans. Justin said that if he fights Ilya, the matchup would most likely headline the UFC White House card. In his view, there simply is not another fight big enough to main event over it. He also tossed around an alternate scenario, saying that if Ilya is not ready in time for the White House card, the UFC could pivot and put him against Conor for the belt, purely because of Conor's popularity and star power. Gaethje went on to imagine how wild the moment could be, talking about Ilya walking out of the Oval Office and into the cage wearing the flag. From his perspective, the fight feels like entertainment on a massive scale, and he believes it has everything needed to close the show. He admitted he was guessing in parts, throwing ideas at the wall, but the confidence was still there. In his mind, it is either a main event or, at worst, a co-main event, because he is known as someone who has never been in a bad fight. The conversation then shifted to other possibilities. If Conor were involved, Gaethje said that fight would almost certainly be the main event. He even mentioned that if Ilya did not come back, the belt situation could change, opening the door for Conor to fight whoever he wanted. Gaethje later appeared in another interview with Paramount, where his message was much more direct. He said Ilya better be ready because he is supposed to fight him in June on the White House card. He made it clear that this is the fight he wants, the fight he worked for, and the fight both men earned. Everything now points toward Ilya versus Justin Gaethje in June at the White House, with all eyes on the UFC. Next big update is here. Justin Gaethje opened up about his future and made it clear that retirement is not far away. In a recent interview with Zach Gelb, Gaethje said he is 100% done by mid-2027. At 37 years old, he admitted he would be a fool to think this is the beginning of his career. He believes there is no doubt he is nearing the end, even if he still feels competitive. Gaethje explained that by mid-next year, 2027, he expects his fighting career to be over and leave the sport on his terms. Next big update is here. We have several important fight updates, as multiple UFC fighters have pulled out of their scheduled bouts, forcing late changes across 2 different cards. Early Thursday morning, it was reported that said Nurmagomedov withdrew from his fight against Javid Basharat, which was set for this weekend's event. The news came suddenly, but the UFC moved quickly to keep the matchup intact by finding a replacement on short notice. It was soon announced that Gianni Vasquez has officially signed with the promotion and will step in to replace Nurmagomedov. Vasquez enters the UFC as the reigning flyweight champion from UNF and brings solid experience with him. Before joining the promotion, he compiled a professional record of 13 wins, 4 losses, and 1 no contest. At 31 years old, Vasquez is also riding a strong 5-fight win streak, making his short-notice debut even more intriguing. Now, he will look to extend that momentum and make an immediate impact in his first appearance inside the UFC octagon. However, that was not the only bout affected by last-minute changes. Looking ahead to the March 14th card, it was revealed that Rinya Nakamura has pulled out of his scheduled fight against Luan Lacerda. Once again, the UFC acted fast to secure a replacement and avoid losing the matchup altogether. Stepping in will be Peter Sosa, who will officially make his UFC debut against Lacerda. Sosa earned his contract on Dana White's Contender Series back in September, but until now, he had not yet competed inside the promotion. Prior to signing, Sosa was on an impressive run, holding a 14-1 professional record and establishing himself as a serious prospect. Now, with this short-notice opportunity, he gets the chance to showcase his skills on a big stage and begin his UFC journey with a statement performance. Next big update is here. Lerone Murphy has officially broken down his upcoming fight with Movsar Evloev, and he is keeping the game plan very direct. Murphy and Evloev are set to collide at UFC London on March 21st, and both fighters will put their undefeated records on the line in what is shaping up to be a massive featherweight matchup. With Murphy sitting at 17-0 and Evloev at 19-0, this fight has major implications for the division. For Lerone, the approach is simple. Go forward, apply pressure, and look for the knockout. In a recent video posted on his social media, Murphy explained that his intention is to walk Movsar down and try to put his lights out. While the plan sounds straightforward, Murphy made it clear that he fully respects the challenge in front of him. He called Movsar the best opponent he has faced so far in his career and acknowledged that the fight will not be easy. Murphy also pointed out the obvious threat that Evloev brings to the table, his wrestling. He knows Movsar is going to wrestle hard and often, which means strong defensive awareness will be crucial. At the same time, Murphy emphasized that he needs to stay vicious on offense, mixing pressure with sharp striking to keep a blow of honest. He also revealed that the two have crossed paths before. Murphy said they sparred together in Thailand a long time ago, and since then, both fighters have improved significantly. In his words, they are very different fighters now, and this matchup will finally show who is truly the better man when it counts. Murphy went on to talk about watching the recent title fight involving Diego Lopes, saying the bout played out exactly how he expected. He added that if he had been in that fight, it would have been a completely different challenge with different problems to solve. While being ranked number 3 in the world looks good on paper, Murphy stressed that rankings do not mean much to him. His focus is on becoming number 1 and ultimately winning the championship. He finished by saying that fans can expect regular updates from his training camp as the fight approaches. Murphy made it clear that he feels confident, motivated, and ready to prove he belongs at the very top of the division when he steps into the cage at UFC London. Next big update is here. Daniel Cormier has revealed what he believes is the clear solution for the lack of American champions in the UFC, and his entire argument is built around wrestling. According to Cormier, the blueprint for success is already right in front of everyone. Fighters like Khabib and Islam came into MMA with elite wrestling backgrounds, imposed their style, and went on to dominate divisions and win championships. In Cormier's view, Eastern European wrestlers did not reinvent the sport. They simply committed fully to it and made everyone else adjust. Cormier believes the UFC right now is not being ruled by flashy strikers, but by wrestlers who apply pressure, control positions, and rely on elite grappling. Championships, in his opinion, are no longer won with highlight reel knockouts alone. They are earned through relentless pace, physical dominance, and the ability to dictate where the fight takes place. That is why he sees wrestling as the most important foundation in modern MMA. He also made it clear that American wrestling has more than enough talent to compete with anyone in the world. The issue, according to Cormier, is not skill, but mentality. He feels that too many elite American wrestlers hesitate to fully commit to fighting. Instead of embracing MMA as their primary path, some treat it as a secondary option or a backup plan. Cormier believes that hesitation is costing America championships. Because of that, he says he has a plan. His goal is to bring American wrestlers into MMA the right way, not halfway, and not reluctantly. He wants them to fully commit to becoming complete mixed martial artists, not just wrestlers using MMA as an extension of their background. Cormier said American wrestlers need to be more open to fighting, more willing to embrace striking, submissions, and the grind of the sport. He openly praised Khabib and Islam, calling them the best and acknowledging their dominance. But at the same time, he made it clear that he wants to see American wrestlers holding belts again. In his eyes, the champions across the UFC are overwhelmingly wrestlers, especially from Eastern Europe, with very few pure strikers at the top. If American wrestlers fully buy into MMA, Cormier believes they can reclaim their place at the top of the sport.